Yes, no, bless no people, don't forget the rest. No, Desmond Rocksteadiest, King of the Pit TV, signing in with a unique album review. Something outside of the norm. Something outside of the norm of the music I'm aware even gets produced nowadays in the most utmost complimentary fashion. A really, really quality record, really quality record. This is an album by an act called Nathaniel Rateliffe and the Night Sweats, yeah? Nathaniel, I do apologise if I mispronounced your name. I assume that's what it is. The album's called Tearing at the Seams. It got recommended on the Patreon by a good friend of mine, Michael. Michael, great taste, great product, great sound to this record. Definitely going in here, ticking a few boxes, giving a few green lights to this act, right? I came into this thinking, looking at the title, looking at the band name, looking at the artwork, thinking, probably singer-songwriter, you know, probably a minimalist, laid back singer-songwriter type. And for me, although I do like a good song, right, I do like a well-structured song, I'm not a lyrical guy. I'm not a guy who's that fussed. Or you have to have an exceptional way around the melody and the hook for me to be fussed about you as a singer-songwriter. Now, don't get me wrong, the bass line and the foundation is the fact it is singer-songwriter music. It's a guy singing songs and writing songs. But we got a different approach to this sound, something that caught me off guard. Some would say jazz. I don't think it's jazz. Maybe a light element here and there, given the instrumental, choice. We've got like 8 members in the flipping band, or at least that's what was portrayed on the music video. I'd argue a little more soulful, generally, across the board. A little more soulful. Elements of country in there. Initially, when I started playing this, I heard a little bit of Motown. Not gonna lie to you people, I heard a little bit of Motown, and then as we went on deeper into the record, I heard a little more Trojan records. Not through it being an offbeat ska act, quite the opposite really, but the use of the organ in particular, I found adjacent to the great acts and the great writers of back then. Speaking on the organ, I think the keys in the organ are the selling point. I think that's the most prominent positive entity within the sound of this act. Really big fan. Really big fan of the organ. Really big fan of the tones they use for the organ. Most will probably say that the frontman and the vocal performance is like the highlight. Hey, we couldn't do without him. Couldn't do without him. I thought he was good. Passionate. Lyrically speaking, I didn't follow it to too much a degree, but lyrically, probably pretty good, Wasn't bad, I understand phrasing, rhyming schemes and so forth, such as we all do. I mean, we've listened to music since we were younger, so we kind of have an inbuilt understanding of rhyming schemes, but no, none of the lyrical relationships caught me off. None of it was jarring. None of it stood out. Just like, fucking hell, he could have used a better line there. He could have finished that line off better, which I pick up on straight away. Not once did that come to mind. So the writing's pretty on point. The sound is quite dark and dingy, and I don't know if I'm being influenced by the album cover here. When we initially got into the record, I was surprised by how bright it sounded. But by the second half of the record, it felt like we took a turn into more of a cavernous, darker, atmosphere. And that might not necessarily be through the production, as it's probably all produced in the same manner, but it was, manifest through the songwriting and the way they had spaced out, the instrumental and so forth. I thought this was a good record. The idea that they had so many members in the band, the idea that they had so much going on and they were taking up so much space in the, varied frequencies, yet the sound engineer and the mix and the writing allowed everything to breathe. Let me just check that text 1 second, because I've been waiting on a phone call. I'm back. It was quite simply my friend responding to a text I sent him with the word hard, because an enjoyable bit of local footage got put up recently of a an American death metal hardcore band called Final Resting Place, performing at what I perceive as a great hardcore festival, really, really good festival called Northern Unfest. All right, a play on words because the label that runs it is called Northern Unrest. Yeah, I put some respect on them. Like, they're from Glasgow, or at least the event gets put on in Glasgow. Generally Scottish people, and as far as I've been, attentive to UK hardcore bands, Scotland has always been behind England as far as output and quality of acts, but now it's on its head. Scotland are really doing great things. But I digress. This album sounded great. The idea that they had so much going on, yet were able to retain clarity and distinction and minimalize the excess noise while still filling out the entire audio space, was really good. 12 tracks. It didn't outstay its welcome. Generally, I would say, well, normally across the board, I say 8 songs on an album is the perfect. But I think for an act like this to really, express the variety of, artistic output they're capable of, yeah, we need more than 8 on an act like this. 10 would have been fine, but 12, I think you get your money's worth, and I don't think they outstay their welcome. I think it's an appropriate amount of material, a good quality, valuable amount of material given the content of the, product you're listening to. Very good, very good. If I'm going to rate this record, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. If the quality of the second half, writing-wise, held up to the first half of the record, I'd probably give it a 7.5, arguably an 8 if they came out with some banger hooks and some great, moments that pulled me in. But this was a fantastic record, all right? I don't say that to be harsh. I mean, I'm known for not touching a 9, I think I've given out 3 9s over the mass amount of records I've rated, so don't allow it to be a criticism of such. I thought this was a great record. I thought it was a great project. A man like this with a band like this deserves to get signed and have a good system behind him to put out good music. That's what I think. Marketable, radio friendly, and a great potential for mass appeal. Most definite. On that note, I'm signing out. One love, people. Goodbye.